this is an R1, this is an R1.
Where's middle floor?
The one.
This,
At the top.
Yeah, there you go.
this thing is, and these lots are split up. Maybe some different colors would be helpful. This
We
is-
got
Roland's on the body right across the way.
This is community commercial, this is mixed use, and yeah, this is the road. And then there's a little, and there's a road here.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. And it comes down and stops. There you go.
Okay.
Ooh. So then,
Do we have any, does council have any questions? Or should we go ahead and go to public testimony?
yeah, so just.
Okay, I'm just gonna move down from the top. I have Pam Edmiston first.
Okay, I live in the subdivision. I've been there for 17 years. My understanding when we moved there, the senior center had a parking lot. Now they want to change that and make it commercial, and I'm against commercial there. That's where the houses should begin. As you can see where the P is, that is right next to a house, across the street a house, and so on. So all the land facing Middleport is commercial. Everything inside is residential, except for that one little parking lot, which I'm against being commercial. I'd like to see a house built there.
Okay, thank you. Second, I have Craig Lees.
Thank you. That's me. I also live in the subdivision, and I'm the president of the subdivision. And exactly what Pam said, in that lower P that's rated public right now was initially granted, given access to the senior center so they could have a place for parking. It was never used for parking. They tried some community gardening and that sort of thing. The understanding is now they want to change the designation because you can't sell a publicly treated lot or public zoned lot. And I agree with their application that the zoning should be changed, but that lower lot should be residential only, R1, so that they can sell it to a homeowner. Because just as you mentioned all those businesses, it would be very devastating to have a car wash or a parking lot or a car sales lot or name off all those businesses. If they were inside our neighborhood, it would change the whole feel of the neighborhood. It goes against the CC&Rs as well, and that all lots are supposed to be residential except those on the road. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Lastly, I have Scott Leslie.
Scott Leslie, I'm also in the subdivision. I've agreed with everything you guys said. Ever since I've been here, I've always understood that that was supposed to be a parking lot. And all the commercial properties are along the Middleport Road. Our CC&Rs have nothing in there about having commercial in that area there. I don't know how they got it by, but you'd have to go way back when it was approved during the meetings. I don't think anybody would ever concede that that'd be anything other than a parking lot. Or, if you guys do need the money, if you sell it, I would like to make sure that there's parking, people only park on one side of the road, because it is kind of hard sometimes when people are parked on both sides. We can't get in and out of there.
Yeah.
And that's
true.
my own Messick just down the road. When she was alive, she was having the ambulance come there quite a lot. That could have been life or death way earlier for her. So yeah, I would like to know if our CC&Rs would supersede turning that into commercial. The senior center, commercial, no brainer. The other one needs to be as a residential lot.
Thank you. I'm just taking some notes. Does anyone on the council have any questions?
Is there one more on there?
Well, it was, Barbara Baker, but yeah, should we give her a chance to discuss any of that?
Please.
Or
Does anyone else want to testify?
before we? Okay.
I live in the track too, and I'm on the same wavelength. I think commercial is, it's a residential area, and you're causing traffic and other
I get
things
that.
that are, so I'm echoing the same thing, so.
What was your name, by the way?
Cindy Bones.
Cindy, thank you, Cindy.
I'm on the same page. I think parking lot, no problem, they need parking, but commercial,
Okay, if there's no other, oh, I'm
Could
sorry.
I just say something? I live in the subdivision too, and I'm afraid that if a commercial business went in there, it would impact our water system.
Okay. What was your name, by the way? I'm sorry.
Karen,
Karen, okay, thank you.
last name is Brazel.
Anyone else?
how would it affect the water system?
Well, I don't think the water system was designed
I can
for
answer
any
that.
more than the commercial lots that we have.
Anyone else?
Can I have one more thing? Scott Leslie again. How does that impact us? Or shouldn't they have to come to the subdivision and look to our CCNRs and get approval? Because anything's gonna have to, that's where this whole process should have started at.
So I
Because
I think
if
we
we
should
all
let
say
her-
no, then that's kind of on us.
We could let her talk, and then legalities, we could have you probably cover that.
That's it.
So I'm gonna let Barbara go ahead.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
And I'd like to address the HOA's concerns. The Mountain View subdivision was established in 1980. The CCNRs that they're referring to were what had the Third Amendment in 1995. I'd also like to note for the record that Mr. Smith and Laura Alexander both live in this subdivision and are opposed to the rezoning. So I think that should come into the consideration when it comes to voting. I'll let Jeff make those decisions, but they do live in this subdivision and are part of this HOA. So with that being said, in 1999, the senior center was bought. The HOA says, you're commercial. And they've charged us commercial dues on lot 1, which is where the building sits. In 2002, when the senior center purchased lot 9, which is the lower lot, the HOA then deemed that it too was commercial and started charging us commercial rates. To this day, the senior center pays commercial rates on both lots and have since the beginning of time. I personally went to an HOA meeting in, I think, October of 2019 when Mr. Brazel was the chairman and Mrs. Brazel was the secretary, which she still is. I asked them why, according to their own CCNRs, that second lot, lot 9, that's the one in question, was zoned residential in the CCNRs, and why were we paying commercial rates? Ms. Brazel told me during that meeting that since the senior center purchased it, it too then became commercial in the HOA's eyes. So we've been paying commercial rates on both lots for water and for road since that purchase. So in these CCNRs that were changed in 1995, in section 2, rule number 3 says every lot should have one house, one garage with a maximum of 3-car garage on it. Section 5 says absolutely no mobile homes, no trailers, none of these should be lived in at all as a residence. Number 6 in section 2 of these CCNRs they speak of says that everyone should have, no building should be within 10 feet of the property line or 25 feet of a roadway. So I went creeping around the HOA for several nights in a row.
That's,
And there's 32 violations to those CCNRs.
I wanna be careful about, what evidence relative to the zoning is. And so what I intend to do is explain the interplay and overlay of HOAs with the city zoning ordinance, which is a fairly straightforward task. And so you had 3 people testify that they said that they didn't want commercial uses on lot 9. That they felt, for whatever reason, that it should be residential. And so, if this is your opportunity to explain why that should not be the case, and then the other issue about the interplay between what exists as CCNRs and how that interplays with the zoning ordinance is kind of a separate thing.
Okay,
It doesn't-
right. I guess my point being is that the CCNRs only want to be enforced when it's appropriate to the HOA, is the point I'm making. Pay Up Forward is in this HOA, it's zoned residential. Valley White is in this HOA, it's zoned residential. So they arbitrarily enforce their CCNRs when it's convenient to them. And when we enforce laws or rules arbitrarily, it becomes discrimination in my book. So we have treated that extra lot as commercial since its purchase. The HOA has treated it as commercial since its purchase. The senior center has made income off of that lot. And I believe when it was purchased, it's gone through kind of 3 different phases, is what I found in the history of the senior center. I believe it was going to be a garage type facility for the van we were going to buy, then it was going to be a parking lot structure, and then it was going to be something else. I don't know, John Cottingham might be able to remember what it was, but it's been none of those. It's been none of those. We did turn it into community gardens. We have made income off of renting those gardens. So, any other questions?
Why do you want it to be commercial?
Well, the senior center applied for it to be commercial because that's how the HOA has treated us, is that it's been commercial since we bought it. So I was surprised when the HOA themselves came against it and wants it to be residential, because they themselves deemed it commercial as soon as the senior center purchased it. And that's evidenced by our dues that we paid on it. And I challenged it with their own CCNRs, and they told me that they didn't matter anymore, basically, that it was commercial because the senior center, a commercial entity, owned it. So now they want it I'm confused.
Are you planning on selling that lot?
That's how this started out a year ago. At this point, the senior center is kind of back on their feet, and that's a membership decision. So in June, we'll put it back up for vote to the membership, I'm sure. But the membership of the corporation has voted to sell it. But like I said, that was June of 2021, so I've been at this for a minute. And I want to thank Jeff for his help, and poor Bonnie, she's jumped through hoops for me. And I know the mayor's, you're a new mayor, and this was started prior, so I just want to thank you guys for your time and consideration and your help too. So.
Does anyone on the council have any questions or would like any clarification on any of this?
I would just want to say on the CCNRs, lot 25 is designated as commercial.
I have no clue, I'm not a real estate
And that would be,
person.
that would be
I don't know.
valley-wide, if not, that would be.
I don't think it.
So that's valid. What about pay for it? Same?
Yeah, it's that same lot.
Oh, it is. But not good.
There's
So,
only-
We have a discussion on this as a council. She also brought up the fact that some.
Okay.
so that's up to the, so the statutory prohibition is someone who has a,
Lot 25 is the dirty shame, lot 26 is pay it forward.
so the,
I have a lot,
so the statutory prohibition on being involved is for someone who has a financial interest in the,
for lots.
thank you, in the action. So if a member of the council owned the property that was seeking to be rezoned, they were statutorily prohibited from participating in the discussion of the decision. So what you're left with is you reside in the subdivision, you're members apparently of the corporation of the HOA, you have a financial, you may have an interest, you may want to not participate, but if you don't own the property. It's in a subdivision where you live. So I guess it's up to you. If you think the key is you have to be impartial. You have to take the evidence, the comprehensive plan, zoning ordinance, the testimony that's been provided, and the applicant's wishes, and balance those, and see if they meet the comprehensive plan or not. The next thing I would explain is the zoning ordinance of the city. We can zone the property however we want, consistent with the comprehensive plan, which is what happened in 2009. So someone reviewed what was going on the property and correctly painted them mixed use or community commercial, and then took those two lots on the end and painted them green for public use, thinking the senior center because of this zoning designation. What controls how they can actually use the property is both the zoning ordinance and the CC&R, so the HOA controls. The HOAs are more restrictive, and the person has another hoop to jump through. We could zone it anything we want, and it still falls on the governing body of the HOA to limit what can be done on the property. In other words, it's up to them to convince the HOA that they can embark on all of those uses or not, if they wish to. So if the CC&Rs, which I read, say that everything in the property but lots 1 through 6 and lot 25 are residential, then that's up to the HOA to enforce and not the city. But it does speak to the original plat that said everything in there is residential. I mean, so you can look at it both ways. This was laid out then, it's clear in those CC&Rs, this is where the commercial strip will be, this will be your residential area. How the HOA enforces these things, and whether they're consistent or inconsistent, is a matter between the property owner and the HOA. I guess I would ask, do you serve in official capacities in the HOA, or do you simply pay your dues and go to meetings like anyone else? Okay.
I don't live there now, I used to.
So you would look to the comprehensive plan to see if there are things that are or not, that's consistent or not.
It appears to be consistent to me that all commercial properties in our little town are subject to Middle Fork Road. So I may be wrong. There could be some commercial properties that are off the beaten path, I mean, outside of the city here, of course, but it seems odd that we would have a commercial lot clearly inside the lines of a subdivision.
I'm wondering, so if they're looking for finances, why not apply for something else? It sounds like people don't want commercial, obviously. Are you afraid if you go for something like rezoning as residential?
That
wouldn't sell?
matters for our decision.
Well, what I'm saying is, people clearly don't want a business going in there.
I guess
That's what we're hearing.
I guess
Messick is off the beaten path and
That's
in a
true.
residential area.
That's true.
It's true.
I'm hesitant to allow more
Sure.
testimony, but I mean, that's.
I'm just trying to
Yeah. that's
think outside the
relevant.
box a little bit.
Relevant, relevant and helpful. I guess there's one other thing that I forgot I wanted to correct, and that is, a zoning classification of a piece of property doesn't dictate its ultimate disposal. So if a piece of property, if the applicant wishes to sell a piece of property, the fact that it's zoned this public thing doesn't preclude its sale. In other words, it can be sold as a piece of public property. It just, the next guy who buys it has to figure out what
Come
to
in
do
and
with it.
do this process.
Yeah,
Sure.
so it could still be sold without being rezoned. Could you help me, Barbara, remember what, is it one single application, or is it one application for one property and one for
Two
another?
separate applications. I have them here if you would like to
No, that's
look
helpful.
at them.
What about if, council says yes, she sells it? What kind of, as a city, don't we still have like a say, like what if a business tries to go into place?
So the businesses that can go in, as I was going
You
down
listed
the
them.
list, some are conditional and some are approved, or allowed.
Okay.
So those that are allowed as a right of use, the person just has to get a building permit. There has to be, Terry has to tell them there's enough or isn't enough water, whatever, in that subdivision. The conditional use ones are the ones where you go in and go, well, don't, you gotta meet these conditions, don't be noisy, don't have whatever, so.
But our main goal is that they need to be rezoned because they're not zoned correctly. So we do need to change the zones to make them more appropriate.
So, ultimately, in the long term, we've had Trish Nelson up here who is working for free and is going to rewrite the comprehensive plan, and this zoning code should get rid of that zone. It's a silly zone. You can provide for government buildings in a regular zoning code in regular zones.
So like the fire station will also change in the future.
Could, yes.
Is there anything else zoned public?
Well, the park,
Our buildings?
the park,
Oh, okay.
No library?
yeah.
It's in the county.
Well, you guys need any further input from anybody, you have any further questions?
I got a bunch of dumb questions.
Let's get them out there, we're here.
Why wouldn't you be happy with residential, and maybe the possibility of working out compensation for past payment with the HOA? I don't know how you would want to work that. I mean, if that were zoned R1, and the senior center zoned community commercial, it kind of sounds like the right thing to do, but I don't know.
I did not realize when I filed these two applications that the HOA was going to take issue with it because of my contact with them and my questioning the CCNRs and why wasn't this Lot 9 residential and why were we paying commercial dues. And I was told in a meeting that it was commercial because a commercial entity bought it, and so therefore, since the purchase date, it was commercial. So I went on that information and filed both these applications. It has since this application, it came to light that they all want it zoned residential, and for various reasons. No one is opposed to the senior center going commercial, it's just a Lot 9.
Right.
I'm just confused at the stance that they have taken, because Lot 26, which is Pay It Forward, is residential, but yet a commercial building is, a commercial business is going on. There's sign violations, there's Dan Smith's been living in a trailer for years. This is their CCNRs, I'm not making it up.
Right.
So I worked 34 years law enforcement, laws, rules, city code, CCNRs. We don't get to arbitrarily enforce what rules there are. Either you enforce them across the board or you don't.
Right.
And that's just kind of where I'm at right now. Is it one way or the other? No, but when I filled out these applications, I filled them out with the information I had and the interactions I had with the board.
Well, I see three choices. First choice, we don't do anything.
I
Second
don't-
choice is to zone them both commercial. And the third choice is to zone senior center commercial and lot 9 residential.
So, Mr. Mayor, if I might.
Yeah, let's go ahead, Jeff.
So, I'm a little concerned about that level of back and forth, because it's the deliberation phase.
Okay.
But you clearly articulated what some of your choices are, except for the last one. The applicant didn't apply to have it zoned residential. What we could do, because, you know, people aren't gonna notice that, I mean, that's what the testimony says, but that's not what the applicant chose to do.
Right.
It seems like a smooth one, but I don't know if procedurally we can just.
We
leave
might have to
it.
open another public hearing and have her.
But that's more, public hearings and procedures, so, your choices are, yes, leave it alone or zone one, and what's helpful is it's two separate applications.
Yeah.
So you can approve one and deny the other, and then fix it, that's one of the things. And if you deny it, I think and the applicant decides later to apply for residential, you've got a good case that most of the process is already done, and you wouldn't have to start a new set of fees.
Okay. Do we, does anyone want to make a motion for a vote?
Well, actually,
Or-
the public hearing part's
We gotta close
closed,
the
and
public hearing.
the deliberation part is later on the agenda.
If there's no further comments, we're gonna go ahead and close our public hearing. Oh, excuse me, we will hold that. I have a comment, one last comment, please. Yes, Jim, you wanna make a comment, let her go ahead.
I don't think we should take.
You don't think so? Okay, all right, sorry. Forgive me.
Unless, I guess, we're about to close the public hearing, and then you're gonna go into your deliberation where you can't have any more. So if the public hearing's still open, if the applicant doesn't object and somebody wants to make some testimony, and then we provide the applicant an opportunity to respond.
Sure.
That would be fine.
Barbara, would you be okay with one more comment, and if you need to, you may respond?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Ma'am in the back, sorry.
She's gonna cede her time to me.
Okay,
First of all, I don't want this to be a personal issue whatsoever. I just think it's natural. I think Steve, you said it seems like the right thing to do, and I think it is too. Whether she was charged, well, I know she was charged commercial rates since that lot 9 was designated as commercial, so I know, and I understand her concern there. And maybe there is some compromise that can come from that, so that was a good suggestion. But I can't see any reason why we go forward with it being zoned commercial. I think that application should just die, and then something could be reapplied in the future if that's necessary, because it's just gonna cause more grief down the road for the city council when we object to another business going in there. And each time it's gonna happen. I don't think there's gonna be much of a price difference selling it as a residential lot versus a commercial lot, so it seems more personal now than practical. That's
Barbara, would you have to say anything?
CCNRs and rules aren't supposed to be personal or arbitrarily enforced. So, and I don't know if there's a real estate agent here to say that there would be a law. Oh, I guess Laura, sorry. I don't know. There is a very lack of commercial lots in the city of Crouch, so one could argue that it would be worth more as commercial than it is residential. And so therefore, the senior center could take a financial loss. I don't know, we can sit here and say what can and should, I don't know the answers to these questions, so. I just don't like the arbitrarily enforcement of rules. It just goes against my grain.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and close our public hearing at this point. All right. We're gonna move on to the consent agenda. Review the minutes of the regular meeting from March 9th. Anyone have any concerns, comments, questions regarding those from last month? If not, I'm gonna go ahead and go on to doing the payables and financials as well. Any comments, questions, concerns with that from the council?
No, just two sides.
Okay, let's move on to the consent agenda. Can we get a motion, please, to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Looks like the first thing we have is water issues. See Terry's here for our
There's the
water
chairs.
master report.
Run in there,
Terry, do you
grab
have any
them.
reports on the system?
I do. I think the water's fine. We met with 3 homeowners up on Thorsdale, and there are 3 people that have paid. You know, they paid the $2,000, and they would like to go ahead and do something. We went up there and measured. It's about 500 feet of pipe. They could do it in 4-inch pipe. The homeowners have all agreed to split it like 4 ways, the expense. And I'm guessing it's somewhere in that $8,000 range to get it put in. And then that would only include saddles to go to the lots. And then the homeowner, of course, would be liable for extending on to the lots. The one lot this man right here owns borders right up to the plant, or to the tank. So he's actually, his property line is right at the line. So they're also aware that there's no pressure there, so they have to put their own pumps in. But they would kind of like to move forward, so I guess is what we're asking is if we can do that.
Does that need to be an agenda item for next month then, unfortunately? Or could we?
I don't think so, you just consistent with the ordinance, follow the procedures in the ordinance for hookups, they paid the money, and you're gonna have a deal to have them split the cost of meters.
Well,
They need meters by ordinance.
but I don't think we can, you can't do one, you have to do them all.
Right.
So we have to do everyone in the city.
Well, you can do, no, you can do meters on the new ones that hook up.
You can?
Per the ordinance, when they hook up, put a meter in. The ordinance says.
For new water hookups.
Yep.
The old ones are grandfathered in, as it is. For new,
We gotta start,
Yeah. Okay, well, that would be an expense to the homeowner,
right.
so, okay.
Question, are we okay letting them?
It's up to you,
I'm okay with it.
yeah.
Sir in the back.
So I brought this up for 3 lots on my property. I was told it had to be engineered. And the original hookup piece was supposed to include the meter. That's always been that way.
Well, the ordinance will be clear on that, so,
We'll
yeah,
look
we'll
into
look and
that.
see what the ordinance says.
Okay. Thor?
Times change, I mean, there was a lot of things that were different prices back in the day than what are today.
Yeah, but if the ordinance hasn't changed, I mean, that's gonna be the thing we're gonna go off.
But to my knowledge, isn't that engineered?
Well, it doesn't have to be engineered.
Oh, it did.
No.
That's not what I was told in the meeting here.
Well, I'm talking about up here. Not
Doesn't
in your
matter.
place.
If
Yes, it
you're
does
coming
matter.
off the main line, they
Okay.
said my line had to be engineered to feed 3 lots.
Yeah, I believe that, probably because of
So why wouldn't those lots have to be engineered?
because it's a lateral going to those lots.
So
It's no
gravity-
different.
Gravity and slope, right? Play a
It's the
factor.
same thing.
I'm just making the,
We might need to come back to this. I'm not sure.
We've got the water ordinance, we can go look in it, but yeah, I mean.
Let's
that's
pull
what-
it out
so-
later.
So that's the other thing, this is kind of an executive administrative thing that city staff can take care of, it doesn't require any.
Yeah,
council
we can get on that later, so.
during the day.
I believe they're wanting to move forward as soon as they can, so.
Go ahead. Just follow ordinance, and call me if you need to, and I'll look it up.
Well, I guess my question, my plan was to build it and build a city, and the city would
Collect from that.
collect from them.
We'll talk,
Let's talk
we'll
after.
talk later
Yeah.
about that.
Sorry, I'm.
Why are we talking later? Because this involves me now, because he's saying now he wants to put this 4-inch line in, build a city for it, and then the city go after the lot owners. Is that correct, is what you're saying?
We gotta go to the policy, the ordinance.
Right, I mean,
First of all, it's just, we're just doing, on the agenda of the city council meeting is a water master report. He identified what activity he's up to. None of that requires council approval, we simply follow our ordinance. If something's afoul of the ordinance that he wants to do differently, then I'll bring it to the council. But this isn't something you need to do here.
okay,
It's
so,
very simple.
but you told me in the meeting, when I wanted to put a 2-inch line in to feed 3 lots, you said that had to be engineered.
I don't recall any such
You
thing,
did.
but if I did, I'm sure there's a record of it, but I'm sure I was referring to the ordinance, because as you can see, I don't say anything unless I'm looking at the ordinance.
Okay,
We'll look at the ordinance and see whether that's
all
true.
right.
Let's move on to new business.
Let's get out of here.
A new computer for the treasurer, tablet, the costs that might be associated with using this tablet to accept credit
Okay.
cards. We need a discussion on that at all. From what I've been told by our wonderful clerk, that computer and the system to even take cards is just incredibly slow, or sometimes won't even work. Time is money, we're down to 1 clerk right now, we're gonna discuss another later, but personally, I feel like we need to get them tools that make them help them do the job quicker. I don't know if you guys wanna have a discussion quick about that?
Didn't we already approve?
Well, no, because it wasn't on the agenda to approve that. I just don't know if there's any further discussion, or if anyone wants to just go ahead and make a motion.
What's it cost?
Did you have us estimates last time, I thought? You gave us estimates last month,
For computer,
and the chip reader, I thought we had them last month. I can't remember now.
I don't have cost on a chip reader. A computer, you're looking at, a couple thousand or something.
It's looking like 15.
To get all the right software on
Oh,
it
yeah.
too and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, maybe two grand. I think those chip card readers aren't too bad. There's usually like a service fee that goes along with it for each use, is more how they make their money on those. But depends on what we get to with that. But I know I've had to use the laptop once or twice, and it sucks. It's really slow. So.
Not that I'm the expert at it, but are you going with Apple or what's the
Just regular
Regular.
HP.
HP?
HP or Dell or something.
I think that we can spend up to $2,000 without approval. Is that what we're kind of against the wire here?
I don't know, Jeff. Would we wanna just get an approval by the
You can go up
council?
to like 10,000 unless you have an ordinance that requires you to get approval for that kind of
So we don't need a motion, I just give the nod and we can go?
It wouldn't hurt to have a motion.
That's what I'm thinking, I'm okay putting it to the 4 of you guys, so.
I make a motion to approve of buying a new computer tablet.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Yes.
Are there any opposed? Motion passed. Second item in new business is opening a new clerk's position, if we go to approve that. I've talked to Jeff and Bonnie both, and also Janet, I feel like we need to strongly search for someone that's gonna, be with us for a while. We're gonna put some time and energy and effort into training them. It might behoove us to discuss, to be able to get that person of that caliber, something with potentially like almost a full set of hours. People might not be willing to step into this if it's only 20 hours a week. I also think we need to have someone that's got some very strong QuickBooks or accounting type skill set. That's all I'm gonna say. I just would hope that at the end of this meeting we can make a motion to get the search out for someone, get an ad out or whatever to do that. So, does anyone have a discussion about that?
Shemay quit?
Yes, she broke her
I know she
foot,
broke her foot, man.
and I talked to her and she just seemed like she didn't want to make any commitments to coming back essentially. Not that she wouldn't for sure by any means, but it seemed like maybe not. So
Before I would move forward, I would definitely want a letter of resignation before you hire someone else.
That's a good point. Okay.
And I'm trying to retire, so I'm just kind
You can't
of,
retire until we tell you.
Yeah, we're not going anywhere.
just for fun.
Okay, I will put down that I will contact her and see if she's willing to give us her resignation here. Actually, I'm sorry, I think she actually did. I didn't. Give me 1 second. Bear with me. I'm sorry, I think she did, unofficially, kind of in an email.
Do we have a job posting, the duties spelled out, or?
I know we can't fill a council position or anything else without an official letter.
Well, no, she's turned in her keys. She told me she was done for now. It was just about coming back, and she didn't want to commit to like when that could be. So, in a way, I would say that she kind of did already. But now I'm thinking I have an email from her if I can find it. But I'm of course not gonna be able to find it right now. So I'm sure she did. Like I said, she turned in her keys. She got herself removed from all the accounting stuff at the bank completely. We went in there and took care of it on a Friday, and she came up from where she'd been. And in my discussions with her, it sounded like she was gonna. I'm so sorry. Everyone's trying to get out of here.
I'm still not certain that just an email is enough.
It might not be, but it's in writing. It's my only thought is we're gonna get busy this summer, and I hate to delay.
No, I agree, so we need that extra person, but I
You
wouldn't.
could just state after you receive that.
Can you make it subject to?
Yeah.
Should we do a motion to subject to?
Yeah, sure,
Let's do that. If Jeff's okay with that.
Mhm.
Okay, let's do that.
I make a motion to hire a new clerk,
Subject
to.
subject to,
receiving a resignation.
resignation from
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor, say yes, please.
Yes.
Yes.
If there's any opposed? Okay, motion passed. Sorry, do we need to do a roll call vote on that, Jeff, do you think?
No.
Okay. Next thing we have is not briefly, maybe, discuss formation of a street department. Jeff, did you wanna start us off on that?
Well, no, I don't think
We're not quite there.
no. I guess we could, we've got the road committee, that could be part of that report, but the intent is to form a proper method of maintaining the public rights of way that are in town. And I had a meeting here a few weeks ago with the guy from the tax commission and Trevor, and it devolved into a discussion of how prescriptive easements work and how that works on roadways in town, and how those are public streets. The scope and the width of those is yet to be determined, but I came up a little early today and we went through the allocated money that comes from the state highway department for the city to maintain its streets. The city is one of those cities of the class that does not have a functioning street department. So with a city without a functioning street department, we have to contract with someone to do street maintenance for those public some parts of the city street system are owned in fee simple and are owned by the city. One part that comes across from out here to the main road, in between a couple of restaurants, is part of the county road. You can look on the flat map over there and show you, which is where we put some potholes. So there's I don't know, 9,000, or somewhere between 9 and 15,000 in this certificate of deposit and street funds that are dedicated that the city has available that you could use to spend on contracting. You spend some of it already on other things like snow removal. You did spend 2,000 on some potholes, but I think the day, a couple of years ago, Steve and you and I and some other folks were out there trying to get run over and looking at where people actually drive. We noticed that a survey would be helpful. There's some survey pins out there, but getting those lot lines established and then figuring out what width is appropriate. I think based on what estimate you or someone got for the survey, there's sufficient money in that fund to be able to do that. And I think that would be the starting point, so that we know on the ground. Because that day I was up here, I went out and looked. I mean, where people come across the bridge and then turn, that's exactly where the heart of that is going to be. And that's going to take time and effort and meetings. And then we have to figure out who is going to be, who the city's going to contract with to do the maintenance on the road. The fact that the road is a public right-of-way is not in dispute. How wide it is and where it turns and where the fringes are, but that's less of an issue than it's settled that that's a public right. There exists a prescriptive easement.
So we're okay for now, I mean, till we get to the point.
I think I'll work with the mayor on maybe setting up a meeting with some entities that can help us navigate some of this.
Okay. Next is signage for weight limit near the bridge. I was approached by some citizens of Crouch that thought that if we could possibly put some signage there, more just because of the potholes, the big trucks that seem to be going through Old Crouch Road across the bridge there, but also just for the bridge itself. It's kind of, not that a sign will do a whole lot, as enforcement's another thing, but it's just something I thought we should bring to you guys' attention and see what the council might think about potentially having like a weight limit sign on both sides of that bridge for a couple of those little reasons I mentioned.
It's be easy to find an engineering and they put that in like the limits should be.
Who put the bridge in?
County.
Yeah.
So is there a weight limit on how much?
I'd imagine.
I'm sure there
Should be.
Shouldn't the
county put that up then?
Yeah, it should be listed.
Sure.
County put the sign up there?
Who wants to go knock on their door?
Yeah.
Okay, you go? All right. Hey, Steve?
Yep, Cecil Bill, that'd be the guy to
Okay,
speak
You
with.
could just ask him.
just see what they say.
He knows what it is, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Mayor, I have a silly question.
Sure.
If a truck drives up to the bridge and they're over the limit, where are they gonna turn around?
We'll have to go in the river and figure it out. That's the thing, enforcement's gonna be a thing that I think is gonna have to be addressed here in the city as well. Signs or whatever else, so that's on my mind, it's been on my mind for a while, but one step at a time, so. Lonnie?
I've heard a lot of people say there's the banks on the road when the trucks turn off to Old Crouch.
Yep.
Would it be feasible to put a sign at the very
Far end.
turn off there that no trucks allowed?
That's also county.
That's county, but no, and I know a lot of those folks, so we can get those folks that live along that, and they can maybe get together and get them to holler at the county and see if they'll help us there, because they're tired of people speeding through there too. Thank you, everyone. So I'm just gonna move on then. Do we want to go to a discussion or decision around the senior center rezoning? I'll open that to the council.
It needs more discussion, for sure. as far as I'm concerned. Can we discuss that right now, or is it?
Yeah, that's,
I think
this
we
is,
should.
yeah, this
We're
is
here.
the part where you discuss and deliberate. You will either, after you deliberate and make kind of a decision, then I'll prepare findings of fact and conclusions of law that you will later adopt, and you will adopt a zoning ordinance that does or doesn't change the.
I feel like the city council is kind of the cart behind the horse here on this thing. They need to work this out with the HOA, because no matter what we decide, if we decided to zone that thing nuclear, it wouldn't make any difference. You could, run into problems with the HOA. So I would encourage, and we've heard 4 testimonies, and we've got 4 or 5 more people here. There's 40, I used to live there, 41 or so, 47 lots or something in that subdivision. I think this is something that needs to be clarified by that entire subdivision. Needs to, at one of their annual meetings or semi-annual meetings, or whatever they have, they need to be clear to the city council that they do or do not approve of that lot being. It's like you said, I understand what you're saying. It's 2 different horses here.
So your task in deliberating is to decide whether or not, based on the city's comprehensive plan, whether approving the applicant's rezoning permit would be inconsistent with the comp plan.
Exactly.
And based on the testimony.
I agree with what Barbara's saying. It's not right to enforce certain things in any, but that's unfortunately for you guys to work out.
So that is not one of the things that you're to consider, except to the extent that so the comp plan has general goal, and this is from the land use component of the comp plan. Summary: land use issues are intertwined with other chapters such as transportation, economic development. Managing growth and channeling it into an orderly community development is a key element of land use planning. The goal is to encourage the development of a diverse community that maintains rural character and provides a mix of land uses, housing types, and a variety of employment options, social and recreational opportunities, and where possible provides an assortment of amenities within walking distance of residential development. And then the statute specifies policies of the comprehensive plan. And this is just chapter 5, the land use section, which is arguably more relevant. So the policies are to educate landowners regarding conservation easements, establish cluster development provisions in the subdivision ordinance to ensure rural character, develop a harmonious blend of opportunities for living, working, recreation, education, shopping, and cultural activities. These include buffer and transition development shall occur between conflicting types of land use. So that kind of speaks to this. So is there a buffer area between a conflicting use? So if you have a residential area, is there a buffer like a road or something? Or is it immediately, next to it? So your consideration is, as you've heard testimony and consider the comprehensive plan, there are a list of permitted uses permitted and conditional uses in a commercial lot with respect to lot 9. I think the issue and the task is simpler for lot 1 because it is harmonious and blends. So and this is there are 2 applications. So one is for lot 1 and one is for lot 9. Support well-planned, pedestrian-friendly commercial development, encourage flexibility in site design and innovative land uses, encourage landscaping to enhance the appearance of structures, encourage adequate professional office space, locate neighborhood services within walking distance to residential development, review and evaluate application with respect to traffic impacts, visual impacts. This last policy, I think this was written before the zoning ordinance was adopted. Adopted floodplain ordinance, adopted, yeah. So the real relevant ones there were 1 through 3, with A through G, and encourage development. So would approving it be inconsistent with the comp plan? That's for you to decide. Would it be consistent? So you have 2 of them, one for lot 1 and one for lot 9.
Did it seem like anyone was opposed to the one lot though? Just the other?
No, I don't think so.
Just the other one? Okay.
I mean, that's what my gut feel right now would be to obviously approve
The one,
the lot, the zone
Whichever.
change to community commercial for the lot that the senior center actually sits on, and do nothing on the second one. I just,
It's zone public though, which is not appropriate, so you need to change it to something else.
Actually, the applicant didn't, the applicant applied to rezone it to community commercial, and so you could leave it public, and then if there's a new proposal or something else, I mean, it doesn't, and I wanna clarify both for the governing body who's here and the applicant, that does not preclude the sale of the property. It can still be sold.
so you guys wanna do anything with that tonight or not? Or just the one or none?
Did I quit? When you say it can be sold, but you couldn't sell it to somebody that wants to put, I don't know, car lot there or whatever.
Well, you can, but then they're gonna come in here,
Come here.
and they're gonna have to try to change it. Yep.
Yeah, I'd rather see it getting taken, just taken care of now instead of piss them off and pass them on.
Sorry. So, yeah, someone else could purchase it, it would just be subject to those uses, so a person, the Forest Service could buy it, put a Forest Service. The public designation is weird, that was the best way I can characterize it. So it's designed for a city hall or a fire station. I don't know that, I mean, if you want to use the broadest interpretation of what uses the public could be put to, it could arguably be worse as a public zone than a commercial use. Land helicopters there, I don't know, so. But your task is pretty narrow, lot 1 or lot 9, and approve or disapprove. And is it consistent with the testimony you got in the comprehensive plan?
Do you wanna make a motion?
I have no problem with approving lot 1 as community commercial myself, but I have to say no to the application on, I mean, in my opinion, to putting community commercial on lot 9. I guess that's all we can do, follow it.
I'll second that.
It's not a motion, I'm just
Oh,
saying.
sorry, I thought you said.
No, we're deliberating, but if anyone wants to make a motion or
No.
add to that,
That's fine.
And if Barbara and people who are running the gauntlet of this horrible thing would like to come back, and if they would find residential acceptable, then I would say there would be no more
No, I'm just gonna hire an attorney.
Yeah. And you would have every reason to because of the inconsistent, but that's not inconsistencies that the city has any control over, that's not my
Circulation and consistency.
My application is what you have control of.
Right.
do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve lot 1 for community commercial and that we deny lot 9.
Second.
Roll call vote. Laura Alexander,
Yes.
Clay Smith,
Yes.
Steve McInich,
Yes.
Alexander Shepherd.
Yes.
Motion passed. Okay. Moving on to, hang on, sorry, I'm a little lost now. Discuss obtaining a new computer tech person. We have a, if you will, a letter or maybe an application already in our packets from Tim Benedict. I would like to put out that whenever we go to hire in whatever capacity, I think I've talked to some, well, I should say I have talked to some citizens, and they've raised concerns that we ought to put it out to the general public, take a few interviews, maybe 3 bids minimum, and then come back before moving on with just the first maybe name that falls in our lap. I honestly think that's a great idea and makes us more transparent as well. So we do have one here, but I'm wondering more maybe if we just want to actually put a little advertisement out, collect a few more resumes, be a little more thorough with each one of these potential candidates that we get, and then make a decision hopefully by the next city council meeting, having hopefully done those interviews in the meantime. So I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, we agreed probably less than a year ago to keep Janet on at $200 a month for this purpose, to upgrade our emails. We were having some trouble with emails. I know we all got hacked and everything, and so we had a need for some stuff there. But we've never had that need before until that happened. Is that a viable need to hire anybody for?
This is a one-time job of revamping of the website.
Oh, okay, I thought we were talking about.
This is not a position, full-time by any means, this is more of a job that we need done.
Okay.
Revamping the website, updating it, I think we should have.
Okay, I misunderstood.
Sorry, I clarified this last time in city council, and then we were, but what I mean by this is this would be a job that we need to revamp. I think it'd behoove us to have a lot more user-friendly website, monthly updates from the meetings posted at the end of, like the short version of each meeting at the end of the meeting on the home page. I think bios about each one of us on city council with our contact info. Any projects or whatever we're working on, the agenda can be posted there as well for the upcoming meetings. How to get on the agenda, all that, just much more user-friendly. It's archaic, doesn't describe our website enough as it is now. So this would be more of a job that we need done, not a career or someone full-time.
Not a monthly deal.
No, sir.
Well, may I interject something here?
Yeah.
So, in doing the website, there are monthly tasks that you have to do. So, you know, you may want to contract somebody like you did for me, you know, to maintain it, to do the postings, to make sure it's secure. And that's constant, which I'm not able to do very well anymore. So I think, you know, if you're gonna consider somebody, they will be an ongoing person, not just a one-time fix. You can't just one-time fix a website. The other thing is that a lot of people know how to do websites, but they don't know how to do WordPress. And this is a WordPress site for cities. And you know, in Tim's defense, he is proficient with that. But along with that, you know, in looking at his qualifications, he is able to, like when there's a new computer, he could be able to do things like sync the city computers a certain way, make sure they're much more secure. If you're wanting to redesign the front office like you're thinking about, there's gonna have to be that kind of work. And he can do that. You know, not just websites, he can do other, what do you call it? The technical stuff, you know, that office would need.
I forgot there are updates and sometimes security things that can
It's
come.
a constant. I mean, I have to watch it a lot, and you know, you would have to have somebody kind of contracted on a regular basis, so that they're constantly checking it, making sure things are secure. There's always monthly things, not sometimes just one thing, but several things you have to put on, and you have great ideas to make it a great website. So that person needs to know how to do that and be available to do that.
So maybe like a retainer type person, maybe a couple hours a month hopefully after everything's up and running. I don't
Do
know,
we-
I'd forgotten, she had mentioned that to me, and I'd forgotten about that, there's some,
Websites don't just sit there after you've got it fixed up, you have to
you
work
might need some
them a
maintenance on
lot.
it,
Can I say something?
Do we need to do like a one-time?
If you get a new
you
city
know.
clerk,
Hang on, Thor, look, sorry.
Do a one-time contract until our budget renews?
Well, and I
And
think-
then they create a line item?
I think putting this out there too, like, okay, here's the bulk of the work, like the upfront, like we do need a re-website vamping, but how much, like, how long do you think you're gonna need every month just to maintain it? How much would you charge? And then get a few estimates maybe. That might be part of the interview process, I would think then.
Yeah, but we just need to create a line item in our budget for the
That's-
next year in
yep.
August.
Yep, so that's gonna potentially be part of the discussion too, so. Yeah, so that's good points. I had talked to you about that and I spaced it, so, yeah, in a way, it's not necessarily all a one-time thing. There might be, hopefully it's minimal, but, yeah, some stuff ongoing, so I'd forgotten that.
if you're looking at hiring a city clerk for more hours, and you get somebody with a lot more of that younger and more knowledge, and you pay them more, that person may be able to do most of all of what you're talking about, because you're
That's a good
adding
point.
hours to that person anyway.
And that could be part of our clerk hiring process potentially. So we could put that out, that's for sure going out, so in our interviews with that person, we could just kind of see what their capabilities are. And then see if they can, and see if we can fill that 2 slots with 1 bird, I guess, is the term, I don't know. So I'm really tired. Sir?
Trevor, I would highly recommend Tim Benedict. He did my website. It is in WordPress. He's very good, and he could be hired for the job, create the website, and then a separate contract for maintenance. 2 hours a month, 10 hours a month, whatever.
No, I worked with him at past year, I don't have anything against him.
Oh, yeah.
I love him, he's a great guy.
That's right.
I'm just trying
I forgot
to,
about
I'm just trying to show that we're open doors to people, not, you know, lining up jobs for people for our buddies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm okay getting a few other people interviewed, and then we'll just take the best candidate, and I think he's a strong candidate. We'll see who else comes our way, if anyone.
Are we under obligation to, open, or can we just hire, does it have to go through some process? No?
We don't need a motion of any kind, really.
But you could just hire this guy?
You could, yeah.
Do we have money in the budget or?
We'll have to peak, and again, that comes down to what they're gonna bid us at when we go to potentially interview or
He
talk to
agreed
them.
in
Did he talk?
letter to stick with the 200 a month to do everything.
Okay,
And he's looked at the website, been in it, and he said the website has good bones, but it just needs certain things to make it more friendly, so, and I just have to admit and come to terms with, I can't do that stuff
Sure.
anymore. So,
Come on,
time
get
is
with it,
kind of
Janet.
the it's in, it's of the essence to try to get it done.
yeah, I
You
agree.
From my point of view, but I know y'all have got to do a process.
Well, that's not necessarily any kind of code or anything we have, I think from talking to several people in the community, in the city of Crouch as well, like, they just wanna see some more of that, like, when we have work to be done, whether it's, like we do the plowing, we put it out there, and I just feel like it's a good idea. So, anyways, what does the council wanna do?
Oh, I wanna get somebody on it, but I wanna open it up and see who else. Yeah. It's available, so it's hard.
We could put this out quickly, I think Facebook's pretty quick. Just throw it out there, and we could potentially start interviewing as soon as we get a few.
Just maybe do the snow bids.
If so few folks know other people, send them our way, and then we could do that, I'm happy to do an interview, or if you wanna sit in on it, one of us could. We can't all do it, only one of us I believe could do it, but I'm happy to be the person to spend time to sit down with these folks and try to vet them as best as I'm capable. So, I am moderately tech savvy at best, but if one of you wants to do that instead, and vet these people and just talk to them about what they think financially they could do it for?
I repair chainsaws.
Yeah, you're a little more hands-on, yeah. Anyways, so, if you guys are okay with it, maybe we could just throw something out there and just get a few more applicants our way, hopefully, and go from there. If none come our way, then we got our guy, it sounds like. I mean, that's a no-brainer, so. Really no loss, except maybe a little bit of time, which I do understand that, I do. But I think if we can move quickly, we can get it going fast, so. Do we need a motion on that then, sir? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have a motion to put a ad out to see if any other applicants will come our way for computer tech?
I'd like to make a motion to put an ad out for computer tech. Is there a time limit though, should we have,
I don't know, I was actually thinking.
2 week, or we want to give?
It's up to you.
We could leave it out for 2 weeks and I can just get them as soon as we get them coming in, and I'll just keep it open and we'll go from there. I think it just gives us more.
Put it on the city website.
Yeah, we'll do that too. Okay.
Yeah, that would be good.
No one will find it. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Old business, city planner update. I have not spoken to Patricia since the last meeting. She hasn't sent me any updates. I think she was making a lot of moves behind the scenes, but nothing new in there. Lot tax collection update.
I do have some numbers, some rough numbers, for the first quarter. In trying to get this established, we're looking at a little over $3,000.
Okay.
And not everybody is on board yet, right? They're still, but the thing is that there's things like Starlight that's not going.
Sure.
So, the summer will change these numbers a lot.
Yep.
But for the first 3 months and getting this going, and the few people that are on it right now,
Okay.
and it's kind of slow, so.
Okay.
But everybody's paid, they're supposed to pay?
Yeah, what's the update on the state tax commission software? You guys were having a meeting right after our last one.
Yeah, we did, and I have a call in. I think the CEO guy is on vacation, so I called him earlier, and he's not called me back, but I just wanted to get an update from you guys.
Where are we standing?
Because you guys had a meeting, or what you discussed, or?
Yeah, so we will send them, or did, a formal request to have them give us a quote on what it would take, and then it takes up to a year to get it going.
He was
Didn't
optimistic.
we do that a
We
ways?
could do-
I thought we did that a while ago.
We did,
A
I
formal request.
haven't heard back, so.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, they warned us they were gonna be busy, but, anything else for that one?
I don't know if it comes under like, update on the business licenses.
Well, no, that would be, she has it's different. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this was supposed to, I just wondered if Jeff had any more information on that, and that was.
Yeah.
What about enforcement? Did you guys discuss enforcement?
We did, we have provisions for
Yeah,
it,
that's all.
so
Sorry.
when we actually ascertain that somebody is out of compliance, we have a way to do that, so.
And for us, it's easy. Anything else on that?
Who does that? Do you, the mayor do?
The clerk and I will.
Yeah. Okay. Next is speed limit monitoring update. Shmaine brought us some signs. I've been made aware too by a lot of locals. They don't even realize, I don't know how, but they just don't realize that Crouch is 25 miles an hour. Fleet ignorance, I know, right? So she brought us an option. These are solar flashing signs. They're $8.99.99. Potentially getting them where the actual change happens from 35 to 25, so that they aren't missed. I feel like the one coming into Crouch is right around the bend, that first bend, right as you're hitting River Pond campgrounds, little turnout there, and you're negotiating that turn, you might maybe miss it. I don't know, I wanna give people the benefit of the doubt, but we got a lot of speeders already, it's barely April.
That'd be a good location because Thor's subdivision, as people are coming in
Turning
and
out.
out there.
Starlight has a new
little-
turnout down there now too.
Yeah.
Bonnie had pointed out to me too, I've noticed, so that could be chaotic here soon. That corner's gonna need people going 25.
Trevor, how do we purchase 2 of those and get those installed?
I'm gonna ask Jeff that. How do we move forward with 2 of these?
You make sure, well, that would be one that would come out of your street fund, but just make sure you have adequate funds in the.
For the survey?
For it,
Okay.
to buy those signs, is that what you're asking?
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah.
How much are they?
$900.
Nine.
$900 a piece.
Yeah.
Does that include the post and the labor? No labor, no post?
No, it's gonna be a little more than that, yeah, because of that, so.
Steve will put the post in.
Yeah, with his chainsaw.
It is. I don't know if it's,
Can we approve 2 and just get them in?
I don't even know if we need a vote on that per se.
Should.
We should though. Do you guys wanna debate this anymore, where they should go? Should we get both, or should we get one, anything like that?
I think you've gotta have 2, one on each of the town. coming in.
You're talking at the fire station, coming down.
Well, it's,
But it's clear at the top of the
It's clear
hill.
at the top,
it starts
yeah.
right at my driveway, that's where the city limits, and we
Yeah.
have there's currently a 25 mile per hour
Could we,
sign there.
could we swap those for where it starts and then move the ones that are 25 somewhere between
Oh, that's
those
a good idea.
straightaways, so we have a few extra in town?
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I'm not saying any specific, installation.
I don't know about like whose signs those are and zoning or anything, but I don't wanna, I think just having the flashing ones be like, this is where it starts, and then, I know going from here down all the way past the Shane, there's nothing, we used to have one, I thought, but it got plowed over, so they think the straightaways.
Yes, fluorescence. Is the speed limit already set?
Yes, sir.
So the speed
It
limit is.
changes 35.
Yeah, right,
So that's where you're getting at about the engineering. So if you're changing the speed limit,
nope,
you need engineering.
Okay.
So this is just a measuring device going, hey,
this is where it
you're
is.
going too fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's already,
So that wouldn't need to be. And then you want the one that says high score.
well, that's when we save up enough money to afford that. Print up some coupons in there. It's-
Mr. Mayor, we do have a sign person here.
No, that's true.
So
I
I
had
know
totally-
he can't do the LED, but maybe he could have suggestions for a sign that would still be bright and
I can't imagine it's that hard to get.
900
I mean, they do garden lights that do things, I mean, can you?
Well, can I ask if that bid there did it come with its own solar panel and
I believe so, it looks like it's the whole kit, the
those
solar
sorts of
panels,
things,
that's
so
on,
it charges itself and stuff, and
it looks like
yeah.
it.
Well, that's pretty noticeable when you get into something like that. The only thing that I would be able to go is maybe just a fluorescent where your headlights would hit, and but this during the daytime, just like the stop sign down there at Banks.
Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty noticeable.
Yep.
And $900 for the sign. How big is the sign?
24 by 24.
Okay, so and is it reflective as well?
Yeah, it is, but the battery lifespan is 3 years.
Yeah.
Battery. Sometimes these batteries cost as much as.
Yeah.
And then you got the plows, throwing stuff at it all winter long.
That's what's happening to my
Or
crouch
shooting
signs, the crouch signs are getting blasted because of the snow plows.
I'm gonna defer to one last person in the audience briefly.
Okay, now on these signs, okay, they're $800-900 a piece. Do you have labor involved in that for the installation as well? Okay.
We gotta
Steve, you're up, you got the pounder and whatever. All right.
I'm hearing I can call you too? Is
Yeah,
that-
yeah,
okay.
yeah. One other thing though, coming across the bridge here on the river, You know, we have a speed limit sign of 15 miles an hour.
Mm.
So now, where does it go from 15, and then you hit Middle Fork and now it's 25, and, you know, I mean.
Well, I'm not gonna be mad if they stay 15.
Well, no, but I mean, it's gonna get ignored just like the rest of them.
Potentially.
You know what I mean?
Enforcement's gonna be the thing, and we have started a campaign as just citizens, I believe, because I see a lot more sheriffs up here.
Mhm.
Whether we'll continue to see that through the summer where it's gonna matter, we will. I'm always gonna vehemently say to anybody that cares about this community, whether you're a citizen or not, save the non-emergency dispatch number on your phone. And I personally now have cameras in my car.
Yep.
Because I'm not gonna risk my kids or my life for these crazy people.
Right.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about volunteer law enforcement?
Actually,
There's something.
I've had a discussion with our attorney a little bit about that. That is in a discussion. It's a little more complicated than that, but that is on our agenda. That's one thing, because enforcement is a thing, as many of us have seen, we lack as a community at large, not just Crouch, but just maybe 6B is itself. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. We should be moving on, sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say, I was gonna add that, you know, with respect to like town celebrations, we pay Boise County.
Yeah.
And so that's probably an ongoing, or a bigger thing you should look at doing with Boise County.
Yeah.
It's a bigger expense, but then you have the real guide, because a volunteer is gonna get ultimately in possibly some trouble.
Maybe.
And some huge liability.
Yeah, and we've looked at temps for like summertime only. I know some people that would be willing to even do that are certified, but it's
The basic ability of a volunteer is to phone the police.
Yeah.
And so then, you know.
We have a lot of retired
You do.
police up there, that's the way, you know, some of them might want to be out.
Did you wanna, we're gonna move on to,
Wait, did we
Sorry.
approve purchasing two of those or not?
oh yeah, what do we wanna do? Sorry, sorry, I'm tired.
I wanna research this just a little bit.
Okay. Do we need a vote on this if we later decide that?
Steve, if you're gonna research it, talk to Wayne Wellock about putting some LEDs around the two existing signs with a rechargeable battery and a little solar panel on the back of the same signs.
Yeah, that's a good
I
idea.
bet you Wayne can do that for $200.
I'm thinking so too.
The signs are already there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I wanna research battery life, cost of the battery, and, my biggest concern is do we remove them in the winter months, because the snowplows will ruin them. And,
Snow, people don't necessarily speed too much either at that point,
you know,
hopefully.
so anyway, there's just some other stuff I wanna look at, but you're right, that's one option there would be to have someone just come in and put a solar.
It's a no-brainer. I mean, Wayne does stuff like that all the time.
Yeah.
We just want something in place before Memorial Day.
Yeah, well, he's good, he's quick. Do you wanna call him? Let me know what happens.
I wanna drag this out too long, because you're up come up in May already.
No, I know.
Yeah.
We're gonna get Memorial Day, and it's gonna be nuts, especially with, yeah, anyways. So are we all okay tabling that? Okay. Jeff, did you wanna skip that for now, or you wanna?
Yeah, we can, I mean, it's just kind of a discussion on the status of the roads and the fact that they're public ways. And it's a little longer of a deal, we don't need to go into it tonight as we progress on adopting the roads.
Okay.
But just very quickly, roads come into existence by dedication or acceptance, or by prescription, by public use for a statutory period, by public maintenance. So roads are owned in a couple of ways, one in fee simple, one by easement, and then one easement is by written conveyance, and one is by prescription. So what's happening here is these the underlying property is owned in fee simple by the property owners. The road going over it in the traveled way has come into existence by prescription for the statutory period of at least 5 years, and by public maintenance. That's it, it's that simple. And so as I explained earlier, the task then is how much of that we want to say is the traveled way, and then eventually get to the part where those lots over which these roads run are shrunk to the size that omits the road, and the city then possesses them, and the people aren't paying taxes on those lots. But it's a significant task, because as you can see from that drawing over there, it's this sort of stuff.
I thought you was pointing at me.
No.
That's another issue.
Okay. I'm gonna switch some of these because this young lady's here. She has school tomorrow. I'm gonna switch these. Is that okay to do, Jeff?
Yep.
Okay. We're gonna move to the free book/library update from Marissa Gendrich and the Girl Scouts. She has in our packets given us some renditions of some ideas of where and the size of the project. And I thought we should, as a group, discuss what we think we like best and make a pick and let her go. The large one you'll see, the one that's on its own photo, would be if we could potentially move the bench so it's against the railing facing the community hall. And then this would be in where that bench is placed up against the building. And it'd be huge, of course. But from talking to her and other community members, there's a lot of interest in seeing, and a lot of people have already told us they have a slew of books to put in this thing. So
Who's gonna maintain it, I guess is my question.
it's a good question.
Because it could get really tacky with the hall when you wanna try to
Sure.
rent it for weddings and things. That's a definite concern, I
Sure.
think.
I had an idea of either, when we start getting our museum board members, if they could help as they fill in hours on the weekend, just take a peek, see if there's stuff that's just, maybe it's not moving at all, maybe we're getting too much, and just kinda keep tabs on it. I myself am willing to, I'm gonna probably be there at least once a month anyways, just for myself, so I can help with that, so.
And because I was thinking of just those little ones,
Yeah,
you know, with plexiglass, like these are a lot larger than.
These are significant, and her idea, I think, too, was, sounds like she's gonna have a myriad of different types, and she wants a large section, because some children's books are kind of larger, and they might not fit, so we might have an area where they're a bigger space for the larger, kind of odd-shaped children's books, so.
I guess I just got concerned because the library's so close,
Yeah.
that I don't know that it necessarily is a need if we didn't have a library so close. That's free. So
That's true.
I guess I was just thinking a smaller one.
Okay.
Does Marissa have a?
What do you prefer, Marissa?
I'm fine with any of the options, so I don't really have a preference for any of it. But,
She's gotta do it, so.
yeah.
We picked the big one, more work.
Yeah.
Do they have like plexiglass, so rain and wind and?
The thought was,
security or-
it's underneath the
Porch.
community hall. I mean, it would take a pretty steep sideways rain to get any of that, especially we have it up next to the door of the community hall there, so. The overhang over the railing is another couple feet, and it's gonna be a couple feet off the railing, so it's like, I'm talking like 4 or 5 feet potentially off. With roof coverage, yeah, so.
Actually, they're about 9 feet from the back wall to the front of the roof.
Yeah.
Yeah, we measured it up the other night and just kind of seeing, well, it'd take quite a bit of rain to hit this bottom shelf, and then she's gonna hold it a foot off the ground as well, so, anything that splashes or whatever, you're not gonna have a roll of books on the bottom. So, it'll be a foot off the ground.
So you're gonna build this thing?
Yeah, he's built.
Along with helping you put the signs up, Steve.
temporary thing just for this summer and then reassess how it goes after the summer, or, I don't know, you guys talk.
I mean, I'm looking at these and I'm like, you know, I like books a lot, and I already got probably a whole shelf, even if we picked the 34-inch one, the medium one, I got a whole shelf I'm gonna fill that with, potentially, if we needed to. I don't know. It's a little different too than the library. I mean, the hours are a little different. You know, the library's not even open on Sundays, and they close at 4 on Saturdays. And it might be kind of fun too, just to see what kind of community involvement we get, as well as maybe get some folks from the valley bringing stuff and swap in and get, you know.
Walking around town and grabbing.
Yeah, it's just.
What happens if people drop off boxes of books and just.
That's what I'm saying, I'm willing to take care of that. I'll be here, and I'm gonna get word from, hopefully, our board for the museum or whatever, the folks that are gonna run that, and I'm willing to do that myself, so.
I would be willing to come by, and I'll be coming by regularly just to check up on it, so I'll take care of if someone drops off boxes of books.
And when she graduates, I guess I'll take over at that point.
A little gift.
I could fail her, she could.
There you go. Please don't.
Or just the next Girl Scout group that continues.
That, or
Yeah,
senior projects at the school too, there's always stuff going on. I got, Boy Scouts too, I mean, it could be, we'll just see what happens kind of with it, and we're just gonna keep tabs on it, I think, so. I don't really have a preference either way, I think it's gonna be a success, and so I thought maybe we should get something that's gonna have some room in there for quite a bit of different people to bring their donations to and contribute to.
And the cost is absorbed by.
She's gonna do it, I believe. She's gonna take care of it. It's part of her Girl Scout project. This is her. We're just basically letting her, approving this for her, and maybe making the choice on what we would prefer to have. So, my goal is that we let them walk out of here so she can get going with knowing by the end of the meeting which one council would prefer, so she can get started. She wants to be done with it by the end of May.
I'd like to recommend that we go with the middle one, the 34-inch one, and just see.
Okay.
Maybe this one's too small, you know, you send all these books, so at least go to the middle, and when we need to expand it, then we go something bigger.
I agree.
Yeah, because you could build another one of these if it.
Yeah, put side by side.
Yeah.
And in the event too, that it gets out of hand, or it's not working for the city, or it becomes troublesome, or whatever, I mean, it can be removed. You know, it can be removed.
Okay.
That's one thing that we can take care of ourselves as well.
What do you think?
I'd like to make a motion to 34-inch one. Or remove it.
You got a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed?
Ish.
You're not sure? It's
I'm not
okay.
sure, but, I like it, I just have a lot of concerns about how it's gonna go, so, but I'm willing to give it a try.
Okay. Me too. All right. I guess motion passed. I don't think it was really a motion because it wasn't even on the docket, but anyways. Thank you, Marissa.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Crouch Garden Valley Museum Board report. Okay. I'm gonna get you those names. I'll get them in a week here to you. I'm gonna move on to unscheduled delegations. Do we have any?
I would like to ask if there's an appeals process to the decision.
Oh, it probably is.
And so do I.
Let's get a hold of me.
Thank you, Jeff. I will send you an email.
You can also do a motion to reconsider, petition to reconsider, but I will get with you on that.
Okay, and I would also like to officially request a copy of the recording, please.
Yep. Okay.
Okay.
Is there another person? Ty?
Yeah, one of the things that Jeff brought up earlier was by the way, I'm Ty Archer, I used to be city council. So one of the things that was brought up earlier was the fact that City of Crouch contracted for events for extra patrols, police patrols. And we missed the North Fork Championship last year just by omission. That was, I think, in the November meeting we brought that up. I just was hoping we could get that on the next meeting to try to get the policing for the North Fork Championship. They're going from the 16th of June to the 19th of June. And I was hoping we can get that on the agenda so we can get the police or the Boise County Sheriff contracted for the portions of the events we need them to.
Are they under any obligation to do that, Jeff?
Well, if you need extra policing in the city, then.
But are they under obligation to be the ones to hire? We would do it, right? We're not forcing, you're saying we're not gonna force them to get it, we're gonna get it.
We're gonna get it because we follow the gray zone. The gray zone is, if they don't follow the mass gathering permit, once they leave the park and go to the city of Crouch, you don't have an events permit that requires extra policing for events of this scope and size. So technically, they are required to have some policing for the park part of it, but the Crouch part of it comes into our realm of responsibility because we don't have an events permit that says, hey, you have X amount of people coming here on this event, you have to hire the sheriff yourself, because in the mass gathering permit, that's all detailed and covered. But we don't have anything like that in the city. One thing that Sheriff Turner brought up when I was talking to him about this at the time was we could have something as simple as an events checklist in the future, an events permit, saying if you have an event over this many people, you have to hire X sheriffs per people and porta potties. That's the other thing that goes along with this event that kinda I would like to be brought up hopefully to discuss at the next meeting, maybe not tonight, because the porta potties stop at the park and start at the Shame, and we have people urinating and doing all sorts of stuff all the way up and down from the time their event stops at the park till the after party at the Shame at 3:30 in the morning. And if you were to look at it, you'd be disgusted at how many people are using our city as a bathroom. So I think both of those might need to get brought up at the next meeting for consideration for the extra policing and possibility of porta potties.
What do you guys think?
We just build our budgets to see if there's something that constrains us.
Yep. Okay. Let's put that down for next month though, for sure. Any other unscheduled delegations? Oh, I'm sorry.
Back to the water deal, I'd appreciate it if the applications for the water hookups or extensions is done properly, who put in first, because I put in mine last year and I've gotten not one word from the city.
Okay.
Just been doing things so well.
Well, I think we have openings now because they were sold some back. I don't know. I think that's what they were looking to tap into, so I need to get with Jeff on that. And he's right. Who was in here first? I remember he's been here first. I remember that meeting. So. Okay. Clerk report.
Alright, community hall's been really busy, which is good. LOT money is still coming in. Also, the fire chief came in. He needed a map of all the hydrants in Crouch. This map is the only one we had. It's not current. So, Ty and Teresa, I'm just gonna recopy this with no little dots on it. Mark where they are around town and make sure I get it over to them.
Okay.
Fire chief.
Let's keep obviously some copies on hand and post one online too. Okay.
And we had a lot of improvements for the old Crouch Market and the farmer's market. That's one really well.
Is this licensed?
I've still got a few on the deck. I sent a letter out, because I looked up our ordinance, and I'll give them until the 29th of this month. That's the day I sent them. And in it, I put our ordinance thing and the state thing, and if they don't come in by then, it'll be an extra $50, which I'm able to do for our ordinance.
Okay.
So I'm gonna email you.
Sure.
Have not paid.
I'd have to look. I got a couple people came in and they said, oh, yeah. Thanks for coming in.
Okay. Treasurer's report.
I got notice that the liquor funds that we'll be getting, that we can start working, as we work on our budget, the liquor funds, we can kind of look forward to $2,000 every quarter, plus the 5th month that they true up everything after, more liquor sales, which is usually that amount.
Okay.
So they're just kind of staying up in front, which kind of brings up the budget thing. The budget, usually we get information and what revenues we have coming in and how much they'll be, so we can start working on our budget. There's a whole bunch of new stuff with the slot tax and everything. I hate to say it, but I can't do it. I just can't work on the budget. I can't do that stuff mentally. No, I can't do it. But it is coming up. May is when, you start putting numbers together. Somebody works with you or somebody on council to kind of figure out the line items. Typically, we do a budget approval in June of the council kind of being aware of what the numbers are and having a chance to look at them, but you have to have the budget done by August and approved and sent to the county and the state and stuff like that. So, I don't want to sound whiner or something, but I know my mental capabilities, I cannot go into deeper stuff than just kind of trolling you along with paying bills. That's just, I have to be honest with myself and with you guys, because last week the stress was getting to me, and I was not well on Friday. And I don't want to continue this because I don't want to get hospitalized. So, not to, get y'all whining, thinking I'm whining or something, but I know that when it comes to financials, I want the city to feel like they have somebody responsible to do things, and I just don't know, I'm just not confident. Yeah. So, but anyway, the budget process has to get going, and you can kind of do lolly around a little bit in the summer, but you've got to kind of keep it going. And so, when you think of your meetings, you just have 3 in the summer, so you want to make sure the budget's ready by August is all I can say. And there's a whole bunch of new stuff that I'm still learning about, and I almost think in the interim before you hire a new clerk, you almost need a bookkeeper or somebody that can do this kind of stuff and make sure the books are in good order. I'm a little concerned that some of it's not in good order, just with what I'm working with. So, there's just little technicalities, just labeling things correctly and going through that. Not anything crazy major, but it's hard for me to put those puzzle pieces together. I just can't do that. So,
Trish,
just so you know.
somebody?
What about Trish?
Yeah.
That's what she said.
Is she financial?
She just
person?
might know somebody.
She might be, or,
Oh,
That
Or
can help
reach
us
out
with
to
the
the
budget.
chamber and see
Yeah.
if they got anybody they could recommend too.
yeah, maybe.
But somebody that can help us with the budget too, that's done the
Yeah.
budget before.
yeah, you guys know, I'm trying to retire.
Yeah.
And when Shemaine had her accident, I had to put that on hold.
We need this
So,
next person to be.
I'm putting on hold, going to see my grandkids and everything, so, I'm trying to work with you guys, but I'm limited, I'll just say that.
Okay.
Let's see, Idaho Power franchise fees, I don't know if y'all have forgotten about it, or, some of you don't know about it, but we get a little bit of Idaho Power franchise fees from the power bills in town. And so, the last quarter was $629. So that's a little extra. Let's see. Also, you need to think about arranging for an audit because our budget is over the 150,000 threshold. So you know, you're required to do an audit. And I called Bailey and Company, who's been our CPN auditor. And the fee now for just 1 year audit, which is probably what you would need to do is just audit this past year, is $11,000. So, in
That's,
saying that, you know, there's a lot of budgetary things that are critical, and so we have to kind of start keeping in mind, because next budget, you're gonna have to budget at least $11,000 for the 1 year. And then after that, you can choose to go and have an every 2-year budget audit, and then it'd be like $18,000-$19,000, at least at today's prices. So it's becoming a very big part of a budget item. So, anyway, that's what I have.
Are there other people that do it, that shop around?
Say we need to
You
shop.
could shop around
Yeah.
if you want to. The beauty of Bailey and Company is that they've been doing this for a while, so they have our company files, you know, but you don't have to go that route. But I think you might wanna talk to Trish about,
If she knows there.
yeah, because a lot of the audit is looked at if you're applying for grants and stuff. So you wanna, you know, have that audit available when you start applying for grants. So it all goes hand in hand. So I guess, you know, if you'd like to shop around, that's fine. If you'd like to continue using the same person, then she would like to know by the summer to schedule it, because then they get pretty scheduled out.
Yeah, alright, I'll get with Trish and see what she says and bring it back to you.
Okay,
Okay,
that's all I have.
thanks. Do we have any miscellaneous or routine matters? Alright, we are adjourned. Our next meeting will be May 11th at 6:30.